brings us straight to my guest in studio for us to kickstart the conversations. I have the Member of Parliament for Karachi East, Mr. Honorable Nelson Jabab. And we have Nanaya Sapong from the Movement of Change and Dr. Ishaq Ibrahim, lecturer and member of the NPP Communications Directorate. Gentlemen, welcome aboard the News Review segment.
Thank you very much.
Doc, I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a long, but let me just correct something quickly. I'm not a doctor, actually.
Oh.
I'm a lawyer by profession.
Okay.
Called to both the English bar and the Ghana.
My bad, sorry.
And that's enough for me.
Thank you.
Now.
Okay, so I'll stick with Mr. Ibrahim.
Yes.
And the legislator for Karachi is the first time on the News Review segment. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay. Nana Sapong, you are a familiar face, so I'll start with you. You know how we do it. I will give you a minute and a half to walk us through any reflections you may have on any issue, really, that is of national interest. What's on your mind?
A lot on my mind. I think one main issue that has been going through my mind the whole of the week has to do with these scrap dealers, you know, these young boys who go around and gathering scraps across the length and breadth of our nation. One thing that I have realized, it's actually been in the news for some time, but I think that it is high time we all became probably watchdogs for our communities. They are stealing too much of these metals that we use, you know, on these drainage that are being constructed by these road contractors, and it's causing a lot of troubles for road users. And the most areas that have been affected are the residential areas that has link roads, because during working hours you will notice that everybody goes to work, and then that is the time you see them pushing their trucks through these areas, and they steal these metals that we have used to actually prevent animals from crossing into our homes and from, you know, all of these things. Right? And sometimes we ask ourselves why they steal them. You know that you are removing this metallic object and it's going to create troubles. The open hole that anybody could fall in, cars the tires could get into it and get mechanical problems, and yet they go about to steal them. And some people see them, but yet they would fail to talk about it because they are scared for their lives. I think the police should increase the visibility, and if we could have a 24-hour check, you know, patrol within residential areas during working hours, it's going to help.
Right. You ask why they steal them, because they see profits in them. They don't care about the rest of the rest of us.
It's not profitable, you know, because when they sell them, those things
scrap. That's
what
they know. Anyway, Mr. Ibrahim, what take for us?
I think what is in mind this morning is access to justice. A lot of people doesn't realize it's really a problem until they get into trouble. And many people, among especially the poor, struggles. Because of that, we have a lot of people on remand who doesn't actually have legal representation. They are not able to see even their first day in court. Because of that, we have a legal clinic at the UPSA. We call it the UPSA Legal Clinic, whereby we try to help. We used to do it in conjunction with the American Embassy and that of University of California. And I think that partnership is coming to an end. We're urging more lawyers who wants to do pro bono that we visit once a month at Nsawam prisons, just to give some of the citizens who are left behind the opportunity to see their day in court. Because some people are on remand up to 7 years, 8 years, of which if we are convicted, maybe 6 months, 1 year, then you go home. Why are you on remand for that long? So if we are being charitable, let's not forget those vulnerable who have been caught up by the law. Thank you so much. It reminds me of a story I read on Facebook about a man in a similar situation, and thanks to Oliver Bakavomawo and his team, I believe, they've been able to sue the Ghana Police Service and some other, for some millions of Ghana cedis, because this man has been wrongfully incarcerated with no probation, nothing. They just forgot him. They abandoned him there. Anyway,
Mr. Member of Parliament, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Siri.
Yeah.
And, I'm grateful this morning. First of all, I thank your viewers. I thank the good people of Karachi East for letting me in. Before I make my point, I want to comment briefly on Nana's point on these scrap drillers and the dangers it posed to Ghana. Yesterday I watched a video, and they've even taken it now to the bridges along the Nsawam highway. You know, the scrap dealers sometimes go dig these gutters, dig the bridges, the drains, all with the attempt to remove the iron rods in it. I mean, what kind of greed? The drains he was talking about, if you are walking in the streets of Accra, you see a place where they've taken the metallic
cover
off. And, you know, unknowingly somebody could fall into this and get maimed for life.
True.
So I think it's something that we have to look at it. There should be 24-hour surveillance as recommended on this. And to my point, I would like to comment on the appreciation of the cedi as against the major currencies, especially the euro, the British pound, the dollar. And I think this is a positive something. Ghanaians, we need to embrace. We need to at least encourage the leadership of the government for the good work they are doing. The John Mahama are to forcing-led economy. That is a very good initiative, and we hope that it be carried on. The little I can add is on the trade unions, the GUTA, the AGI, I know they are in dialogue with their members. The consuming public is crying for a reduction in the prices of the general goods. But they are also making a point that because of predictability and sometimes sustainability, they are not too certain. So they want to see sometime, they want to monitor this. But I want to assure them that this economy has come to stay.
Okay. All right. Since you went there, and I think it's one of the biggest stories in the country right now because we are all consumers.
Yes.
And if you're seeing the cedi appreciate, we expect it to reflect in the amount of goods and services we can get with our monies. So let's get there. Let me start with you, Mr. Ibrahim. What do you make of the call from GUTA on Ghanaians or consumers to be patient, give them that 60-day window for them to ascertain whether they can sustain the gains that the cedi is making? Yes. And what the consumers are also saying, that if the cedi is appreciating, it must reflect somehow in our pockets, in our expenditure.
That's right. There are several ways we can look at it. I suppose tell us that perhaps the traders are not very confident about the ability of the cedi to maintain, the ability of the government to maintain the cedi at that level. Probably they are suspecting maybe is the external issues, maybe the de-dollarization. But at the same time, you can see the hypocrisy in them as well. Because whenever the dollar goes up, they don't wait till the stock that is already in existence to finish so that the prices, the new price will reflect in the new stock.
Have we seen this before?
Which one?
Have we seen the cedi appreciate to the point where consumers are calling for a reduction in prices, and GUTA and the other, the industry players are saying that give us a 60-day window? Have we seen this before? No,
no, perhaps I've never.
I haven't. That's what I'm asking.
But the point I'm trying to make is that usually you can see some hypocrisy in their side. If they use not to do that, it's understandable that you can't just call for reduction in price straight away, because the existing stock was bought at higher prices. But in the past, they have taken unfair advantage by increasing prices immediately. But it also tells me that they lack confidence in the government's ability to maintain the cedi. So they want to wait and see whether that level can be maintained, because fluctuation can always happen. Because some of us suspect that. Because I have not actually seen an actual policy of the government that led to the reduction in the cedi. The de-dollarization is having effect. But government said there is a deliberate policy put in place. So maybe they want to wait and see. But as I said, at the end of the day, the Ghanaian is the priority of every politician.
Right.
And the Guta need to have that in mind.
Okay.
And because of democracy too, you cannot theoretically force somebody to reduce price.
True.
Yes.
And it's a free market here in Ghana.
It's a free market. Yes.
Nana Sapon, your take on this matter?
Yes.
CD appreciates, citizens are saying prices should reduce.
It's an interesting play. Sweetie, you were asking whether or not this had happened before. I think somewhere 2021 or 2022, I can't remember. But there was some little stability that Guta actually called on its members to reduce prices. But it was just but for a short while, all right? And then the dollar started rising again. But I am of the view that, listen, if we have been able to take advantage of the current happenings with the trade war, and this has been able to help stabilize our city, coupled with the fiscal discipline that has been introduced by the Ministry of Finance and the review of the monetary policy that has been spearheaded by the Bank of Ghana, led by Dr. Addison, why not? You understand? Why not? I believe that we should be able to take advantage over everything that happens in a market. Yesterday, if Ukraine-Russia war led to the collapse of some economy, led to the speed in the depreciation of our cedi against the dollar, and we were made to believe that indeed nothing could be done about it. And today, the trade war is helping to bring it down. And we have been able to review our monetary policy and to introduce other fiscal discipline that is helping to sustain it for this time. Why do we have to cry?
Okay.
All right. All we need to do, you see, sweetie, is the fact that we need to be able to encourage the market to be able to beat down their prices. Two forms of the market: those that are into manufacturing and those that are into what I call the tonatong, the importers.
Yeah.
All right. The importers would be feeling the impact of the dollar being depreciated. That's the appreciation of the cedi. They say the dollar doesn't depreciate, so the cedi appreciating, all right, because they deal directly with the main element that they deal with is the forex. So at least for them, they should be honorable enough, all right, realistic enough to be able to reduce, just as
Mr. Ibrahim
IB said.
Yeah.
See, today I'm going IB on also. So, yes, just as IB said.
All right.
They should be able to reduce it, because once the dollar rises, they do not ask permission or tell us that they have old stock. They increase prices. The manufacturers, yes, I can understand, because other elements come to play in terms of operational cost. We have the issues of the electricity, we have transport, we have blah, blah, blah come into play. But sweetie, even with that, we should get to a point somewhere in the next review of the tariffs by the PURC,
all right,
that we should see a downwards adjustment. I have been drumming this. Why? Because the bedrock for these adjustments in PURC's tariffs has been the forex. If you ask them, they will tell you that their contracts are in dollar. They buy their things in dollars. The forex has been a major effect on them, and that is the reason why they are proposing for an upwards adjustment.
Okay.
Now the dollar is stabilized. All right. In fact, not only stabilized, it is the cedi.
No, so our point made, and it's a good call. I think we all united in the call to say there's something we can do about it. Yeah. Let's do it, because at the end of the day, the Ghanaian is the priority of this administration. So that takes us into the newspapers, and I'll start with the Ghanaian Times. On the front page, access to medical care, no protocol. The Ghana Health Service Director General declares. President pardons Sammy Gyamfi. Leverage SML Ghana platform to increase revenue, according to Professor Boateng, and he's urging government. So let's start from page 12 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, where the Director General of the Ghana Health Service is saying no protocol. So the Director General of Ghana Health Service, Professor Samuel Kaba Akoria, has called for an end to the widespread practice of patients needing connections or protocols to access medical care across public hospitals in the country. He described the situation as unacceptable, stressing that every Ghanaian deserves equal access to healthcare regardless of their social status. And he's right. He says no Ghanaian should go to the hospital and need to know somebody before being treated. Let me add two stories and then we'll start discussing. Of course, the story of Sammy Gyamfi being pardoned by the presidency is also topical. The presidency has accepted the public apology of the acting chief executive of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, in relation to his United States dollars gift to church entrepreneur, I like to call her, Patricia Esiedua, popularly known as Agrada. We all know the story. I'll not get into this. I will not spend too much time on this. And register excavators, farm mechanic propelled equipment without delay, according to DVLA. And owners of excavators and farming equipment have been given a 2-week ultimatum to register the excavators and mechanic propelled farming equipment without delay, effective yesterday. And that directive, according to the CEO of DVLA, Mr. Julius Nikwe-Kote, follows the discovery of about 50 unregistered excavators found within forest areas across the country that had not been registered with the authority. These three stories will begin our conversations, and I want to start with you, Mr. Ibrahim.
Yeah.
Which of these do you want to start from?
Okay, we can talk about the health issues.
Yeah.
I think Sammy Gyamfi one, as you said, a lot have been said about it, unless you want me to add to the debate.
Well, I mean, the latest update now is he has been pardoned.
Yes, which is, okay, then that one is more topical. Let me deal with it. I think 3-4 days ago, a lot of people have spoken about hypocrisy in the past. That what he has done is not new. People have been giving gifts, especially during the campaign. People give gifts. Primaries, people give gifts. That to scale things. And that by our culture, we encourage giving. And if you're a Muslim or a Christian, there's the idea of giving. But I think some of these arguments are misplaced for a number of reasons. Why do I say that? During the campaign, we were made to understand that President Akufo-Addo and his surrogates were corrupt. And that there was a program called Aura. And Aura was meant to root out the corrupt officials. So if you campaign on that basis and say you are going to go for reset, I remember hearing Sammy himself directly when money was found in Cecilia Depa's house. He himself, he said some of the texts. He said, why is somebody keeping dollars in their house?
Okay, so according to the statement that the presidency released, in accordance...
I've read the statement.
Okay.
Let me lie. So the Cecilia Depa will be asking today, why is dollars doing in your car? So you have such a standards. And we had a president and a team that said they were going to, they campaign on reset and said the old ways of doing things need to go. So even if it's a law, it's not broken. He has failed the appearance test. Because you have told Ghanaians that there's a new way of doing things.
You're saying the optics are bad?
Yes, the appearance is just so bad. Because even if a law is not broken, some people say laws have been broken. But the appearance test, the social contract you have with Ghanaians that you were going to do things in a different way. We have never seen you video sharing dollars when you were in opposition or previously. Now we have seen you sharing dollars, and everybody knows gold and dollars move together, just as drugs and prostitution move together. Gold and dollars move together. You have now been put in charge of our gold, and now you started sharing dollars. The appearance test, what would the members of the public say if they see that you are sharing dollars and you are in charge of our gold?
Does it not do anything? So
perhaps the president has become what he used to accuse Akufo-Addo, clearing agent. We have seen a first clearer. As we told you, celebrating your first 120 days is very easy because of low-hanging fruit. The heavy lifting is where the problem is.
Okay.
So everybody knows Sammy is his darling boy. This is where the heavy lifting, this is where we make the decision. And he has failed in that particular decision.
Let me come in at this point. Let me come in at this point.
Yes.
Does it do anything
Yes.
to your submission or opinion, the optics, as you say, that the man immediately realized that he done a mistake and apologized, unwarranted?
Yes, but if a Sakawa boy was to be seen there sharing dollars, apology will not do. They said, let's find out the source of the money.
You said he said he's going to do things differently.
Yes.
And so according to the code of conduct for his public officials, there's reprimand, apology, and all that.
So what I'm saying is that, yes, I
Mm-hmm.
accept that. And as I've already told you, in the past, certain things have happened. People acknowledge them. But what I'm saying is that it is not for the president to pardon him. It's for us to clear the mind of the public that the appearance test was bad. At least the investigation needs to be carried out.
All right.
For us to say he has done nothing wrong.
All right. Mr. Jabab,
okay.
What's your take on this? The latest update on this Sammy Gyamfi dollar gift saga.
Thank you very much. I have a different opinion from what Lawyer Ibrahim just said. Sammy Gyamfi, immediately this happened, the man realized he felt very remorseful within himself. And so he apologized to the general Ghanaian public. The following day, what we saw was that the presidency invited him. In fact, the chief of staff invited him and for questioning. They invited him for interrogations. And after that, you know, per code of conduct, as you said, one of the guiding principles is sometimes you can caution the person looking at the gravity of the offense. So he was cautioned that what you have done, it shouldn't be the case that Sammy Gyamfi is a darling boy of the president, is this and that. No. The gentleman we're talking about, Sammy Gyamfi, if privately you have ever had an encounter with him or you have ever met him, he's a generous person. But we are saying that probably the act. And then also, lawyer went by saying that sharing dollars. No, I would like to put things straight over there. It wasn't sharing.
But I want us to focus on the latest updates and what it does. He's saying that the optics are bad. To see that the president came in with this heavy commitments that he's going to keep his appointees in line, launches this, you know, code of conduct for his officials and appointees, and then we see this, it may or may not be true that he's the darling boy of the president, but the way it looks that right after we we assess your 120 days in office, this happens and you give him a reprimand. Does it look good, would you say? That's the argument that Mr. Ibrahim is making, that the optics.
I do understand it, but the point I'm trying to make it, let's look at the basis. Now, the woman in question, popularly known as Evangelist Agrada. Evangelist Agrada, naturally, by Ghanaian hospitality, somebody asks you for something, you can give. You see, at that point in time, it could happen that what currency Sammy Gyamfi had on him was that dollar. I hope you are getting me. It could happen what he had on himself. Probably he traveled, returned, he has some dollars in his car which has no use.
Mr. Jabab,
and he decided to give that one.
Good enough to deter other public officials from falling into the same soup? It's a reprimand.
It's a reprimand, I do agree.
To solidify the commitments the president is making that he's going to keep his
Of course, yes, it's good enough to caution him in the first place. Don't do this again. You will agree with me that fairly, this is a young executive officer, barely 4 months in office or less. And so what has he done? What is the gravity of this? He gave. There is no any indication of probably stealing from somewhere which you can link to the money he gave.
All right. I'll come back to you on the other stories that we read. Nana Asapong, let's take your reflections on this story.
On this particular one, I know I've made my statement very clear. No, I just want to make a recall that this is very clear. I mean, number one, it was in the privacy of his car. Right. Number two, there's nowhere in the president's code of conduct that was launched that he breached. If you look at the aspect of the gift, which is on the page 28.
Doesn't fall under opulence?
It does not. That is when you have shown
it does not
out I'm looking for a particular word, but did you see him display in lavish?
He was counting them?
Open display in a lavish way as to borrow a word, the Sakawa boys do. No, it was in the privacy of his car. And I give an example. It's just like you filming me in the comfort of my home when I am counting money. And then you would send it to the president and ask him to fire me because I'm counting money in my home. Let us be honest. The gentleman was counting money in the privacy of his car.
You do know that.
He gave money
You're a public official. That's why you're a public official.
In the
public place.
No, so are we advocating
Yeah.
that once you're a public official and you go out, you shouldn't put your hands in your pocket to bring out money?
Right. So this is what I'm saying, that I think we've overflogged the horse of what was done, the dollar, the person who was receiving the
It
gifts
is
and
just
all.
because
the
of the
latest
person
update is what I want us
involved.
to focus on.
Of
What
course.
it does.
That is the extent.
Yeah.
That is the extent the president can go.
So that's it.
That's it.
It
That is
sits
the
well
extent.
with you.
Number one, the gentleman apologized. That listen, he did not realize.
Will apologize. We let them out.
He did not realize that this was what was going to be this is how we were going to
So
interpret
it sits well with you. You have no problem there. All right.
And
So
let's not rise this. You see, let's be real with this. One, when something happens, you take into consideration the cultural orientation of the people.
Exactly.
That is number one. Number two, you take into consideration the circumstances within which surrounds the whole situation. He is a political figure. Are we lying to ourselves? IB is here. Is he telling me on countless times that he has not stepped out there and would see young men and women waiting for those of us who are politically exposed? He is not. He is a lecturer. He is not politically exposed that much.
Mr. Ibrahim, so you've been giving dollars to you.
You understand? No. I mean, whether it's dollar or it's cedi.
No.
Is he telling
not
me
to deliver your point.
that
Go ahead, yeah.
he steps out there, he doesn't meet people who ask him for money? So I can open my phone for you right now, and this morning at dawn, 5:30, I got a WhatsApp message requesting for money. Now, should the person come and meet me down here and I give him money, doesn't mean that I am trying to show off.
All right, no.
Let's be real.
Let's manage
Because
the
you are
time.
not.
Let's manage the
it
time.
as another yav. That's different.
But he's giving it as Sammy Gyamfi.
No. Oh.
All right, gentlemen.
I think
Was it a gold bond?
If anyone wants to say anything on the
time will
health,
come.
No, that was what I thought we were going to.
Okay, let me regulate this. Let me start from Mr. Jabab.
a time will come, if you are not careful with this Sammy Gyamfi issue.
I think we are moving to the health sector. That's what she said.
I'll
I
allow
wanted to
it.
just
In
make
our
my
10
point.
seconds. I'll allow
Yeah, a
it.
time will come, they will say politicians
Yeah.
are being wicked. Politicians have stopped being generous. Of course, as a city, as a politician, sometimes I get to a place. When I was campaigning, during the
10
last...
seconds is nearly...
Exactly. I was compared to give $1. I was compared to give dollars.
So you give
not because I had dollars, but because at that moment I traveled and came. And I had no money on me. It was an occasion. I just realized that that's what I had to
Let's
give.
move on. So on the Ghana Health Services Director General saying that we should stop this protocol approach we have to treatment of Ghanaians. Reflections on that quickly, and then we move on.
Thank you. I think that's a very good one. You see, health does not respect status. Health does not respect one's level in society. And sometimes you want to give protocol in our health services, you could be doing danger or very harm to somebody who needs that health service, mostly at that point in time. Why protocol in health? If you are sick, you are sick. You go to the hospital, and depending on the kind of sickness you have, will determine what kind of treatment you'll be given. So at that point in time, assuming you and I go to hospital, and we happen to have similar sickness or disease that we should be treated, I think we should be treated according to how we arrive at the hospital, what service we sought for, but there shouldn't be any protocol like, who do you know? You know a doctor there.
Unfortunately, that's not our reality. If you and I go to the hospital, just because you're a man of power, you're a member of parliament, you definitely get preferential treatment over me. So it's not just about citizens and who we know. The preferential treatment, the protocol also applies to our leaders. So if we are saying that everyone should be treated the same, then it also means that you members of parliament, our ministers, our CEOs will have to be treated the same way that an ordinary person like me, Sweetie Abochi, is treated when I go to the hospital. So are you saying that that is real? That's something that can happen? That you and I go to the hospital and then indeed they say, okay, Sweetie, you go first because you arrived first.
Sweetie, what I do know is if you want probably to be treated privately, then you probably choose to go to a private hospital. If I go to Kolebo, a public hospital like Kolebo, you come to Kolebo. If you come to meet me first, I think it is fair that I'm set before you.
Of course.
Yes. So I agree with Director General that protocol in health service delivery should be, something that we should entertain.
All right.
As Ghanaians.
That's good. Thank you. Mr. Ibrahim.
Yes, I think this is an interesting area. And I will add to the call that it is not only protocol that should be eliminated. Corruption too have to be eliminated. I've heard people saying paying bribe for beds in hospitals, which is quite interesting. That side to need to be eliminated.
Wow, that one I have.
Somebody like, I'm familiar with health sector. At least I'm also a qualified nurse who has worked as a nurse prescriber
that's news
for a very long time, yes. And that's why sometimes people mistake me for a doctor.
He's lived in the UK.
Wearing a uniform,
Okay.
at least 17 years as a trained nurse. See, when you look at the system, hospitals need to operate something we call triage system. So the triage system is when you arrive at the hospital, then somebody will take preliminary information and investigate, then determine what level should they escalate your case. So for example, if you arrive at A&E, you can be sent to Majors, you can be sent to where they will just treat you straight away, where you don't have to even wait at all. Or sometimes you can be assigned to a resource, or even sent to a recovery unit. So somebody needs to assess that based on the need basis. But for people to be sent to places based on protocol, you are more or less saying that other Ghanaians who need to wait are more or less of citizens, which is not good for us as a country. This was why when honorables, members of parliament, were calling for a separate hospital for themselves, I kind of realized that, no, this is a misplaced priority. So if you are telling Ghanaians, and when you are campaigning, you say you are going to be servants, for servants to be given a specific hospital for themselves, this is really a problem.
All right.
But all this tells me that the health sector in Ghana is underfunded. I mean, when you go to our premium hospital like Kolebo, the first time I stepped there, I said to myself, I wouldn't even want to come here. The environment itself doesn't even encourage recovery. You see patients lying down on the floor. It doesn't even encourage recovery at all. So it tells us health sector is seriously underfunded. That is why I will urge the NDC government that Agenda 111, don't say somebody started them. Perhaps it's time to invest in complete them. The person who started them used the Republic of Ghana's money. Our health sector is underfunded. The infrastructure is not there. I mean, you know that.
Okay.
This is why when people go in abroad for treatment, it becomes an issue.
All right.
Perhaps everybody needs to be around, and then for us to push the health sector.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Nana Sapong,
Yes.
final take on this matter.
Yes, we all would agree that nobody wants to go through protocol for whatsoever reason. But there are some reasons that necessitate or calls for this protocol. And are we able to deal with that? Once we're able to deal with that, naturally, it sweeps away the protocol. You understand me? And those are some of the things that Ivy was mentioning. Health infrastructure. What is our health infrastructure like? You understand? When you get to the hospital, there are no beds. And so the few beds that are there, so you have 2 beds for like 100 people. All right? And then myself, Ivy, and Honorable gets ill. And then we go there. Definitely, Honorable will get the bed. I will not get the bed. If not, Ivy, because he's a lawyer. Probably he has a client who is a senior health practitioner there. So he would get it. Now, the quality of service. It gets to a point where you would enter into a facility, and because of the nature of the facility, quality of service is assured across board.
Mostly private hospitals.
But there are some facilities you get to, and you look at it and you know that quality of service is discriminatory, depending on who is being served. All right? Even accessibility to healthcare in itself becomes it. And so I would add my voice to what IB said. Indeed, the health minister has mentioned that they are going to look for money and other means to complete this Agenda 111. He's mentioned it countless times. But we have also told him that there are other ways to deal with this whole thing to get money to complete it. We have people who are interested in investing in health, the health sector. We have these health practitioners, we have these traditional medicine practitioners, we have these missions and these Islamic and religious bodies that are all into into the health sector. Let us approach them. Let us give them a deal. Let's give them what is on the table. Let us give them some benefits that comes with their investment.
Okay.
And let's see whether or not they'll be interested in carrying up. I mean, we should be able to solve this. But until we solve this health infrastructure and quality of service issues, protocol would forever exist.
Okay.
The Ghana Health Service should channel its strength into ensuring that it draws into the health sector enough investment to be able to give us the best of health services.
That's the only way we can.
And that is what will remove.
Thank you,
protocol.
gentlemen. So just some headlines, and then we'll move on to Mr. Ibrahim, your paper. Is that the New Republic?
Yes.
Okay, but let me just put this out.
Okay.
Free passports delivery to officers' homes begin, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs last Friday started with a free home and office delivery of newly chip-embedded passports to their owners. So if you're in the process of receiving a passport, you should know that that's an option available to you. Okay, let's go to the New Republic now.
So I can see the first story, 24-hour economy dream on, and ends Akufo-Addo's corrupt gas processing plant deal. Energy sector debt to be cleared by 2026, President Mahama assures. Cocaine trade tumbles. Hey, I didn't know they have a market for it. Cocaine trade tumbles in Sahel amid coup chaos, shock reports unveils. Government strikes deal with traders to slash prices.
Which of these stories do you want to get into? We can do two.
Okay. So the 24 hours economy dream on. I think they are making reference to the fact that gas processing plant. I'm not sure whether. Okay, let me
We
just
can read a bit, yeah.
Okay. President Mahama 24 hours economy policy has disrupted shady deals buried in the crucial gas processing plant 2, GPP2, that elsewhere Akufo-Addo administration was setting up as a private cash cow. The swift action taken by the new administration to kickstart the GPP2 project has already started and urging market dealings, reported grand plans by the then Akufo-Addo administration to sideline parliamentary oversight. These dealings have been revealed in explosive documents. I'm not sure how 24-hour economy is connecting to this. I don't know what sort of.
Usually, the New Republic has all these controversial stories, and I want to
so
see the documents
newspaper
for myself before I
Okay.
can, get into it. Whatever documents they claim,
Yeah,
is
it's a
giving this
tabloid.
information.
We call them tabloid newspapers.
Let's move on to another story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You have the other one.
Perhaps we should leave that paper alone.
Yes,
or
please.
so, the Enquirer.
IB.
So Goldboard arrests 6 Indians.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
topical one.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Okay. Goldboard arrests 6 Indians. Where is it? Where did they say we can find it?
I saw the
Page
video.
2, 3. It is scattered everywhere.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
So this is page 2. Can you
Yeah,
see
you
it?
can't find the story, huh?
No, I can't find it.
Okay,
It's
so
page 2.
but we know what the story actually is. Some people were trying to smuggle. One even had a T-shirt of something distraction.
Okay.
And I said to myself, yeah.
Have it here.
Have you found it?
Yes.
You have it in your
another
paper.
Yes.
All right, it's okay. Let's go. Let's look at the story in
There's a page 2.
yeah.
It's not in page 2.
Gold-
Okay,
gold-
Goldboard.
Yes.
Okay, so the heat is on and eyes are red No one who dares is saved.
That's a poetry.
These were the clear indication as the Ghana Gold Board and the National Security in an intelligence-led operations arrested 6 Indian nationals for engaging in illegal gold trading in Ghana.
Actually, the visuals are rolling on your screen right now. Those are the people who were, you see the shirt the man is wearing? Master of Disaster. I thought it was really funny.
Of course, he's a disaster. He's a disaster in
so we know the story, Mr. Ibrahim. Let's discuss it.
Yes, I mean, gold has always been a very tricky thing. It's a precious mineral, and I think almost every country have got rules as to how you can deal with gold. In fact, South Africa is actually, I think that's the only interesting country whereby you can use defense of ignorance when you are exiting the country with gold. And I've had contact with a lot of people in the UK who is requesting if they could come to Ghana to buy gold, meaning that our market is quite liberal. So actually putting control measures in place to curb the dealing in gold is very, very important. And this is why, look, not being politics, this is why I was talking about the appearance test. It's very, very important. So now we found the need to arrest certain people for dealing with this gold. But what I've read about the story that we are going to deport them. I mean, what kind of law that, this is, you can tie it to the people dealing with Galamsey, that when we get a foreigner who happen to breach our law, we more or less outsource the disciplinary or whatever we put in place to their country. I mean, how is that a deterrent if you deport the person? Do we have a confiscation orders in place to make sure that whatever ill-gotten thing they had through these deals is taken away from them? And I favor prosecuting them in Ghana, first of all. Prosecuting them here will be much more deterrent than just shipping them away.
They are going to deport 3 and prosecute 3.
Yes.
And it all depends on the time that they were arrested.
Yes.
So that's
why is the timing necessary?
The time that the law came into play and when they were arrested. You cannot, put a law into effect maybe today, and if you've arrested somebody 3 weeks ago, you apply the same law to the person. Are
you saying as a country we didn't have old law that deal with prosecuting them in Ghana? Where did the crime in the first place? But then that is very interesting. So if you can only prosecute people based on new law, maybe the time that the offense had occurred, they had already breached some laws.
Mr. Ibrahim, at the end of the day, it's a rule of law, right? And it's a democracy. You cannot say that simply because they are caught in the same crime and there's a new law now, whether or not they were arrested. No.
What I'm saying is that I'm not sure about the old law, but are we saying that there was no old law that entailed prosecuting such people?
Well,
that you just have to send them away. But aside, I've already said, even in the Galamsey, there is a proposal that when we get people, we deport them. And I said, what will be the deterrent effect if you simply deport them? So I believe arresting them is in the right direction. But usually, I'm a bit sensitive when they mention people's nationality and I attach them to crime. For some reason, look, I was nearly lynched in Newcastle in South Africa when I was there during the xenophobic attacks. Simply because Ghanaians and Nigerian names are mentioned frequently. And that is a practice in Ghana as well. Maybe we need to have a second look at it. Because emphasizing people's nationality is a very serious thing. So perhaps 6 people are arrested. Maybe you go inside the story, then you probably find out their nationality because we want to deport them. It can be mentioned. But if you put it in the headline, Indians are arrested, Nigerians are arrested, one day we might be inciting xenophobic attack on people.
Thank you for that. You're saying we should be circumspect
I think so.
when it comes to nationality.
But some people see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I think it's a good call. I think mostly here at Multimedia, or should I say on the MyJoyOnline.com, we stick to foreigners.
Yes.
You go into the story before you find out which nationality they belong to. So it's a good call. Mr. Jabab.
Thank you. I think, like lawyer said, it's a good point over there. The people were arrested. What was their crime or their offense? They were dealing in gold. And as of which time, the Gold Act had come into being. We know that we now have gold board. And by that, as a foreigner, you can't just walk into our country, Ghana, and begin to buy gold or minerals anyhow. The Gold Board has outlined the ways by which somebody interested doing business with Ghana can come in. You can buy gold, but then you have to buy as an off-taker, or you can come through Gold Board and then appropriately buy your gold, and you are free. Per that act, you can no more, as a foreigner, walk into our areas. You know what? These are all bases for the rampant galamsey or illegal mining activities. We are now finding it difficult to combat.
Right.
When they arrested them, they had over 1.4 million Ghana cedis on themselves. They had some euros, they had some Indian rupee, and all this was money which no one knows how they came by it. And they were moving with this money in the bush. So this will attract young men to do galamsey with more energy because there is money to buy.
Look at it. There it is. That's the money.
Good.
Those are CDs.
Good.
That we can see, as far as my eye can see.
Good.
Please, go on.
So that man with that money in his bag.
But is there a problem that they were having money?
Well, there is no problem they were having money.
Evil intention.
What I'm saying
is Sammy Gyamfi's story. He seems to be a problem that they're having euros.
Let's hear him out, please. Yeah.
Let me land with my point. You see, this young man in the bush, seeing you carrying this amount of money, in fact, is going to be gingered enough to actively go into galamsey. In fact, he will not care destroying the forest. He will not care destroying our water bodies. That foreign national or that man who is not a Ghanaian, he has no business doing with your economy, your forest, whether you die. The interest he has is his business. And he buys the gold, repatriates everything, including his profits, and we don't earn anything. Interestingly, sweetie, you know, before coming into being of Gold Board, Ghana used to lose about $2 billion US annually due to smuggling in the gold sector. So if we were losing this money, and now we can now regulate the sale, the trade in the gold, then we need to say kudos to President Mahama and then the NDC government. And we believe that this is just the beginning. Because if we are able to do this, if we are able to go by the old act, if we are able to put our laws properly into force, then we may rake in revenue more than this $2 billion annually.
All right.
This is a good one.
Thank you so much.
And I think, as lawyer said, the people must be dealt with according to the laws here.
Well, now we have the new Gold Board Act, so henceforth, when you're caught, you'll be prosecuted right here.
Yes.
And I have the final word on this matter.
Yes, I have been against the deportation of foreigners who commit crimes in our country. I remember the days of Aisha one, when she was...
And she came right back.
She came right back. I mean, if I would commit a crime in a foreign land and be carried back into my country, why would I be scared? You understand me? I think, and I've stated, that these people, once they have been committed in destroying our lands, we should use them to work. Let's prosecute them here. If they are found guilty, we jail them with hard labor. We put them to the place where they destroyed. Then they help us to fix it. You understand? We don't just carry them out. I have been against it, from onset. But of course, I stated many weeks back and months back, even before the elections, that if we want to have a solution, aside the 10 pointers that the Movement for Change had presented in dealing with the issues of galamsey, then we should have a government that would put in a deliberate effort to control the gold market. All right? And that is what Gold Board seeks to do. It's going to make galamsey unattractive. Why? Because you cannot just sell the gold on the open market. All right? You need some documentations to be able to sell. They need to make some traces to which consignment and to which organization that did the mining. And that is going to actually reduce. The only thing that is left with is the issue we are facing with as the 6 people have been arrested, which has to do with the smuggling. Of course, once you have created that unattractive avenue, all right, or venture, you've made the venture unattractive, you should also be ready that people will smuggle it out.
That's true.
And so the forces should come together. The immigration service, because they control our borders, the national security, the police. There should be that team that is formed to be able to deal strictly with issues of commodity smuggling. Okay. Not only limiting it to gold, but all right, let's extend it to the cocoa we have and to other natural resources, because once the venture becomes unattractive internally, all right, they would want to use the external ways to
well
get
said and
done.
points well noted. And unfortunately, gentlemen, we have to go. I know we didn't really start early, but our time has run out. And I want to know the stories on the front page of your newspaper, Mr. Jabab. That's the overseer, just the headlines. And then
Headlines, we have apology, accepted, but go and see no more. Presidency to Sammy Gyamfi. Then we have a mid-year budget review to strengthen confidence, tackle debt obligations. That's Deputy Minister of Finance.
Yes.
Honorable Ampem Daku. And then we have Ghana pays twice for the same job, while the SMA deal must end. Benjamin Sia. Then we have government to deport. I think that's what we just discussed. Okay. 3 foreigners.
All right, thank you. BNFT.
So we have
headlines.
BOG's DPI project to shape Africa's future payments blueprint, and that is a very good one. That has to do with the digital platforms payment, yes. And then we have FAGE president calls for targeted policy to support export. We have COPEC flags mammoth losses in upstream sector. And there was one that you did that has to do with COPEC also, calling for the reduction in
fuel prices?
No, transport fares.
Okay, great.
And I think it's a very good call. I mean, if fuel prices are dropping, and they've been dropping since the beginning of the year, cumulatively is about 18%, yes. All right? Then I think that the transport operators should be kind enough
to Ghanaians.
To Ghanaians.
To reduce transport.
At least they should be kind enough to Ghanaians. And then SSC, Central Bank targets lower remittance cost. And then back page says, Delimosh creates job, empower women. And Galaxy, oh no, there's a... It's
okay, yeah. So those are the stories on the front pages. Pick one for yourself and get into it. Unfortunately, we don't have time. I'll end with the Delhi Democrats. Abuakwa South MP to host Africa's top film school. NPA to sanction non-compliant oil companies, according to Kujeta Maklo Eduji. And Alex Dade wins 2025 Excellence Leadership Award. Police arrest 208 in anti-Galamsey crackdown. The more arrests I hear of, the happier I get. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
There is one that I have to do because I'm an Ashanti man.
Go ahead.
It says that Republic Bank honored for Ashanti region's economic development.
Here. Those who join us for the conversation, Member of Parliament for Krachi East, Honorable Nelson Jabab. And then we have Nanaya Sapong from the Movements for Change, and Ishaq Ibrahim is a lecturer and member of the NPP Communications Directorate. Thank you all, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Coming up next, Haruna Mubarak serves you AM Sports. Please stay.